All right, so good to be with you guys today. Been an exciting week. I think we're going to see some more fireworks throughout this week. We're going to see a lot of things happening politically. It's hard to not talk about some of the things that's happening across the country as we look at, of course, the events that's taking place with Zelensky. Um, you know, I think there is a time to where what we're really having is a reset. This is just what it is. It's a reset. I think every so often, maybe every decade, every generation, whatever. I think there needs to be a time when everything is turned upside down and emptied out. There's so many things that get rooted um, in especially when you get in political areas, social areas where money's involved, where influence is involved, where power is involved. Because you find people that begin to dig in and they take advantage of the system in such a way that they're just simply not honest. They're very destructive. They keep things to the point that it fits them, and they play off fear. They try to make this one against that one. It's got to be the Democrats against the Republicans against the Democrats, the independents against everybody. And what ends up happening is the fact that they're bleeding off of our country. They're bringing great resource. I mean, doesn't it kind of fascinate you how someone can go into a government job making $150,000, $175,000 a year, and after so many years they walk out with about $100 million? I mean, doesn't that strike you as odd at all? And I think when Trump came in and he began to make the statement concerning the deep state, I didn't think I really understood what he meant. But as I began to look at it, I found that the deep state consisted, because that's not the mysterious part in the FBI, the CIA, which I'm sure that plays a big part. But let me bring it a little closer to home, where you find politicians that have been in the market, they're in government in that position for 30 years. And they worked it, and it doesn't matter what side they're on. It doesn't matter how they argue. Their finger is in the pot. You know what I mean? They're drawing things to themselves. And even if they start out good, and I'm not even necessarily saying they're evil people, it's just that the system has pulled them in. It has made them, the system owns them now. That's all there is. The system owns them. And special interest groups, they own them. And we have to understand that many of them have just become corrupt just simply by being close to the system. So I think that there needs to be I think the table needs to be turned upside down once in a while. And that's exactly what has happened. The situation with Trump being elected, I mean, you can say like him or not like him, doesn't matter. The fact is that he is in a situation where he is turning the lives of these lifetime politicians. He's turning that upside down, exposing the underbelly of how they have manipulated and how they've taken advantage. It exposed them. Why, in God's name, do you think there is so much fight against him? I mean, stop and think about it. Somebody say, well, he's connected to Russia. Oh, grow up. There comes a time when those scenarios just get so tiring. You just think, are people still so naive that they're believing that stuff? I mean, let's just get real with what's happening. We're seeing our government opened up. It's almost like somebody literally, like a surgeon, opened up their chest and is exposing everything that's on the inside of that. And boy, they don't like it. And those that scream the loudest generally have the most to hide. Something is wrong. Something is wrong when they are screaming that loud about being audited. I mean, the fact is we've got parts of government that just simply has not been audited. I was surprised when they were talking about Fort Knox. And one of the politicians, Lord, who was that now? I don't remember. But anyway, he made the statement. He said, we tried many years ago to get into Fort Knox and said we couldn't do it. And he said, I don't remember if he was a senator or the House of Representatives, but he said they wouldn't let us in. And the question is there any money there? I'm thinking, they need to get Geraldo to go and expose it all. But the fact is that it has become there's so much corruption that this thing that is happening in our life right now is a good thing. It may feel scary to you, and listen to me, you don't even have to be on the Trump bandwagon to know this is a good thing. Right now, there are things that are happening, things that are being exposed that needed to be. It just needed to be. And it takes a wrecking ball to do that. All of these other politicians, give me a break. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to do anything at all. And so this is something that's good for our country. And I believe that as this is happening, it's almost like the pruning of a tree. I've had a couple of experiences in pruning. One lady came to me. I was asking her. I said, "How do you?" We had rose bushes on the side of our house, and I needed to prune those things, and I really didn't know how. And I just asked her. I said, "How do you do this?" And she said, "You need to cut it back until you're embarrassed." She said, "That's when you know you've done it right." I remember one time I was in Oklahoma City, a church I attended there, and there was one guy came in. He's kind of a silly old guy, but he just had been there for a long time, and he was very trusted part of the community. And he said, "You want me to trim those trees?" There was 4 trees along the side of the building, and he said, "You want me to trim those trees?" And I said, "Yeah, I think that would be good," because they were really getting bushy. And I came back the next day, and there was 4 stumps sticking out of the ground. I'm serious, just 4. I thought, you lunatic, you killed the trees. I mean, there was nothing left. And I stewed about that and stewed about it. But the next year, all 4 of those trees flourished. They blossomed into the most beautiful trees that we had ever had. They had never looked that good before. And so sometimes there's things that we go through in our personal life, in our social life, in our responsibilities, our government, where there needs to be a pruning, a taking away of all of the garb that has just barnacles that has attached itself to us because it's weighing us down. It's taking money from us, it's stealing money from us, it's lying to us. I mean, don't you really get the feeling that we've been lied to? How much have we been lied to over this last couple of decades? I'm just, I hate to be cynical, but I was just getting to the place I thought, I don't believe anybody. If they're a politician, I don't believe them. I'm not about to believe them. Forget that. I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. It seems like anything that I'm asking, I'm just going to get a straight answer. And I mean, don't you feel like that? We all feel like that at times, but I feel that way about our government. It's like I don't trust any of them to tell me the truth. I don't trust any of them to not have a motive, to not have an agenda in which they are covering themselves or manipulating us or whatever that might be. So I just think that this is something that is time for us to change. I think it's time for us to move forward. And it's let what is, let it be what it is. We've talked about the release of the JFK files, the RFK files, MLK files. We've got all of these files that have been hidden by the FBI, by those who are in authority, who just really doesn't think that you're smart enough to understand anything that's going on. So they're just keeping things hidden. I mean, for years. Now, of course, like the JFK files, I have never believed that there was a lone gunman. I've never believed that. There's just too many things, too many weird things that are attached to that thing, and as a cover-up. Was it the FBI? Was it what government officials were involved in it? Was it the CIA? I'm not, because I'm telling you the truth. I'm not even saying that those that were attached to it was not Oswald. I feel like Oswald, I think he was a patsy. You know what amazed me about that? It amazed me that Oswald, after the killing of JFK, they found Oswald across town in a movie theater. Now, of course, this is 1963, 1964. They found, I mean, I'm thinking, how'd you find him? How did you know he was there? I mean, exactly what happened that you were tipped off by who? I mean, no one knew that Oswald was even in the place in that building. And now suddenly he's across town and he's picked up as a suspect. Are you kidding me? So I just don't believe it. I don't, and I'm not just a conspiracy theorist, but I think we have been lied to. And one of the ways that I feel like we've been lied to is the fact that because they won't show us anything. They don't want you to see anything. And now here we are, 50 years later, and we're still saying we want you to release the information, and we don't need it. We don't need it blacked out. We don't need it redacted. We'd like to know what took place, and I don't care who was involved. It doesn't make any difference. I think there's sometimes you have to pull the blanket back and expose what's there to deal with it. Sometimes you've got to pull the rot out before you can clean the wound. And we've got a lot of rot. I'm just telling you something. Some of the politicians that have glad-handed us and smiled at us were all the time corrupt to the core. And I know that sounds like I'm just cynical about things, but in things like this, I just feel like it's a time to come clean. I feel like it's a time to begin to just simply let go of the things that you've been hiding and let us have it. And we'll deal with it, whatever it is, as good as it is, as bad as it is. I think that's something we can say about most of the people in this country is the fact that we can, there's always going to be some flakes that are out there, but I think that we can handle something if we know what it is. And so I'm looking forward to those things. I hopefully they're going to come. I was horrified when I listened to Robert Kennedy, the son of Bobby Kennedy, how he explained what took place, how his father was assassinated. And it was at that time, because I remember it happening. I remember Sirhan being there. I remember the incident there in California. I remember the shots being fired. I remember all of those things. But he tells a completely different story that is much different than what we were told or what we were led to believe. So there are things that are just, I just believe we're in a wonderful time of exposure, of cleaning out the attic, of taking the stuff that has been hidden away. Like I said, the rot in the wound, because in some ways we've carried a wound for years, but it's been hidden. And I think it's just time for it to come out. I'm just kind of over the idea of saying, well, it doesn't, maybe what people don't know won't hurt them. I agree. I think there's some things that maybe people don't need to be told. It's kind of like the situation with the UFOs. Do I believe in UFOs? Well, it's I know that there are things that we can't explain. There are things from a technical standpoint, from technology standpoint. I've listened to a lot of the voice recordings of pilots, and you can tell that they were very sincere and genuine when they were going, "What the heck was that?" And now these are seasoned pilots who really have an idea of what's supposed to happen, but yet it's held in secret. Things that are held in secret. I don't know. I feel like we're at a time when that needs to happen. Now, you might say, do you think that is always the case? No, I don't. Sometimes I think it doesn't help the situation to expose everything. I've seen times whenever married couples, when they had an extramarital affair, and they want to know the details, and knowing the details in those situations was not going to help anyone. It just wasn't. It was only going to take a bad situation and make it worse. But here I'm comparing apples and oranges. There are some things that don't need to be talked about because there's no sense in just causing pain and hurt in someone's life when it's not necessary. But there are times in our country when I feel like we have reached this pressure point to where it is necessary to begin to explain what's taking place. So that's kind of where I'm at, guys. I just feel like we're at a point where it's time to expose. It's time to show the things that have been hidden. And one of the reasons, another reason, it isn't just the situation that happened that needs to be told what happened, but the corruption and the people that are hiding it. That is a problem to me. The corruption of the people who know this stuff and who, for their own gain or their own whatever, are keeping things hidden. And I kind of resent that a little bit. I just think it's time for them to get out of the way, be moved out of the way if they have to. That's just my feelings about it. I think we're at that point. So that being said, I know that some wonderful things are ahead for our country. And again, it doesn't matter the fact of whether you believe that Trump was a good thing or a bad thing. I feel like our country, the pendulum has swung so far to one side that we were seeing things that were just nutty. I mean, things that are just terrible. And everybody knows that. They're in the ditch on that side. The extremists, on the far left. Listen, even the Democratic moderates, they're thinking that doesn't represent us. I remember my father was a Democrat and my grandfather was a Democrat, and they were devout Democrats, very, very much so. But can I just tell you this? This is not the same Democrat that my father was and my grandfather. This is a different animal altogether. And the pendulum had swung so far to the left that it left the reasonable in the dust. It wasn't even reasonable anymore. But now people have just said, okay, we're done with that. And that's one of the reasons why Trump was voted in. The pendulum now is going to be swinging back. And there's always a tendency for it to swing to the other side, to be radical on the other side. But what we want to find in society is we want to find some place in the middle, some place that's reasonable for everybody. Not everybody's going to get what they want, but it's reasonable for everybody. I don't want to control people's lives. I want them to live it. I will say your rights stop at my nose, but I believe that all of this stuff on the right and the left, they have to meet in the middle. And it's the radical crazies that are keeping that from happening. And so I really believe that we're at a tremendous point in history where we're going to see balance come. And I think as a result, we're going to come through a season of flourishing. Don't listen to all of the naysayers. Our country right now, there is an excitement, there's a momentum, there is you can feel it. You can feel the momentum. It's like a gravity that's pulling at you. And I really believe that we are going to see great prosperity over the next few years. This is going to be a time, if I could encourage you, don't be afraid. This is a time to invest yourself. This is a time to take your risk. This is a time. Watch the markets, watch what's happening in the country. But this is going to be a time for you to begin to move forward with great optimism, because our country is going to begin to rise once again, and it's going to rise to just a higher place. And I think it's going to be something that is financially going to be very fruitful, very wonderful for everybody. Now, it may take us a few months or even a year or so to get out of the mess that we've been in for the last few years. You can't just, I heard someone the other day said, well, here Trump was in, and this was like a week, 10 days after he was in. He said everything was going to be different. And I'm thinking, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. This country, you don't turn it on a dime. It's like turning a ship. You just don't make a left turn and go this way. You have to begin to move that way. It takes a little bit of time. You're talking about dealing with markets. You're talking about dealing with warehousing. You're talking about shipping. You're talking about all of the things that are involved. I don't care what it is. And it's going to take time to get those things set in place, get them functioning and moving. So it could take us a year or so. Be patient. And be optimistic about where you're going, because I really believe that we're about to enter into a great season of prosperity and blessing, and it's really going to be good. I really think it is. It's going to be good. I think it's going to be something that's going to be awesome for you. Matter of fact, I think there's going to be a great wealth. I don't want to say distribution, because we've seen that kind of mess, but I think there's going to be great wealth opportunity that's going to come, and a lot of people are going to have an opportunity to acquire wealth. You need to be preparing yourself, getting yourself ready with wisdom and with understanding. You need to begin to look for opportunities. Be diligent to invest yourself, to invest your money. You'll have one. You'll have one that's right. Just watch, be patient, and pray for right timing. You need one of those divine appointments and divine contacts. And in doing so, I really think you have the opportunity to move into some great opportunities, flourishing financially. That's going to happen. So that's just kind of what I wanted to share with you. Just want to talk to you a few minutes just concerning some of the things that I thought was pertinent for us. I mean, we're going to cover. I'll try to just be diligent as I can and really bring some things to the table that I think can encourage you, maybe give you a little bit of direction. But I enjoy the time with you. I really do enjoy the time. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think. Love to know what you feel about things, and we will just make this time together something very special. All right. Okay, love you guys, and I enjoyed time being with you. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing you in the next session, all right? I want you to take care of yourself. Talk to you then.